Expect to have a breakdown from time to time. These boat trailers do go in the water. We do have a bearing issue, a brake lockup issue. I'll explain a little bit here in a minute on that. It is boat season. It is hot here in Texas. What that means for us here is the boats are on the water. There's going to be a bunch of broke down trailers. Why? Because they've set for the last year and we're ready to go out to the lake, and the trailers aren't ready to go out to the lake. I will say, if you own a boat and a boat trailer, expect to have a breakdown from time to time. These boat trailers do go in the water. On this repair here, we do have a bearing issue. We do have a brake lockup issue. We're also going to leave some links in the description below to some of the parts we use on here and some of the tools. So we're going to get on with it. We're going to get this boat back on the road. On this trailer, it is a tandem axle, has brakes on the rear axle. The customer complaint on this one was the wheel was locking up when they were trying to move it. They could not get the wheel to unlock. I gave them a couple suggestions to try to do at home. They removed the brake line off of it, tried to relieve pressure, but the caliper was just rusted to the rotor itself. It would not move. They couldn't relieve any pressure off of it. So they just took the wheel off of it, limped it on in here. And we've done a little bit of work to it already just to save some time. They've been down a few weeks because of this. Part of that, we had to wait on some parts to get here. The thing to really expect is having to wait on parts from time to time. The boat trailer industry and the utility trailer industry is two separate industries. Some parts interchange, some do not. Some boat trailers, this one for instance, it has a different seal for the rear axle than it has for the front idler axle. We are actually out of the seal for this trailer. Our main supplier is out of the seal, so we had to get it from a secondary source. That's kind of an everyday thing here. If you're out there causing all the supply chain issues, you know who you are, and we know who you are. Come on, man, get your crap together. We need parts to put these trailers back together, whether that be in the trailer industry, automotive industry, wherever. I could go on for days on that. I'm not going to, because I'm gonna get all riled up. We just need to get this trailer put back together. So we're gonna pull off the calipers. The first thing we're gonna do, I've already loosened up the bolts just for time purposes for this, because it took a while. We had to soak them down. We do have the rotor free and moving now, but we're gonna have to tear it down, see what's going on with it. Customer decided they wanted to go ahead and pack the bearings while we had it in here. We've already removed the brake line off of this. We've already loosened the caliper mounting bolts, again, because like I said, they were stuck. So now we're just gonna bleed a little bit of pressure off the caliper, which I've already bled some, but just show you how we do it. You can also use a heel bar in here to do it this way. A lot of times it doesn't need much, but you're just pushing the inner pistons in by doing this. That should be plenty. And what we're gonna do on this one, since the caliper is an issue, we're gonna take the whole caliper and the mounting bracket off at once. If you're just changing the pads out, you can just take the caliper off itself, but we're gonna go ahead and just take the whole unit off. Something else I found, even though this thing was rusted shut, one of the bolts was very loose, so this caliper had some wobble in it, which I'm surprised it was sticking as loose as it was, but the wheel would not move. It was trying to flat spot the tire that was on it. So it's just got two bolts that hold it to the flange on the back, and that comes off. You can see it. It's got some grease on it where we try to spray some oil. The customer tried to spray some oil just to get them down the road. And again, like I said, they just had to bring it in. Three-legged, like we say, that's a very common everyday term, is three-legged. We are gonna pack the bearings in it because the customer doesn't remember the last time he's packed his bearings. It does have bearing protectors. They may be Bearing Buddy brand. I'm not sure, I don't see any labeling. And I'm gonna give you my 2 cents worth on bearing protectors. There's some grease in there. Clean a little of that out so you can see it. If you currently use or have used bearing buddies, bearing protectors, whatever brand, there's several different brands out there, leave me a comment below. Give me your 2 cents on them, because I'm going to give my 2 cents, and some of you I bet are going to disagree with me. Some will probably agree with me, but we don't all have to agree. We all have our different reasons for what we think about them, but I would like to know your thoughts on them. So there's the grease zerk where you push it in. That one is super tight and not moving. So we're going to take this off. We're going to expose the bearings, see what they look like. So these bearings aren't horrible. They don't have any rust on them. Most of the time we do find rust. These do have some pretty good wear marks. You're not gonna be able to see that in the video. This customer did want to just change the bearings out because he does not know if they're original or not. So they do have some pretty good wear. This is something that surprises me. We have some shops that we sell parts to that will come in and buy bearings for a trailer, but don't change the race. If you're changing this, and if you're putting it in your old hub or drum, you change the race. If it needs a new bearing, I promise you it needs a new race. If you're buying a new hub or new drum, then you don't need to change it because it comes with a brand new race in there. And just remember, before we go any farther, check your lug nuts. Don't use Scotch locks. And if you're putting a new bearing in an old hub, you got to change the race. If you go to a shop and they say you need a new bearing and they say you don't need a new race, run quick, okay? They don't know what they're doing. That could be dangerous. You're gonna put something that's not worn into something that is worn, can cause catastrophic failure. Absolute worst that can happen is the wheel fall off and go into the highway and hit traffic, or you lose control of your trailer. It's absolute worst that can happen. So if you want to chance it, it's up to you, but I would not do it. So we're gonna drive the races out of this rotor. We're gonna put it in the parts washer, get it cleaned up, install the new races, pack the bearings, and then we'll talk a little bit about the bearing buddy, or the bearing protector. It's the inner race. And don't throw these away. You'll need to get the numbers off of them. In the boat trailer axle industry, many of them use the same bearing as the utility trailer world, but they do use a different race many times. This trailer does have a different race. So we're gonna slap this rotor in the parts washer. Another common question I get a lot is, what do you think about bearing buddies, or what do you think about Easy Lube? I'm gonna tell you my opinion. It may not be popular. We're talking specifically about bearing buddy today. I agree with the use of bearing buddies if you're using them in the marine world and if you use them properly. They can be used on regular utility trailers that are being pulled up and down the road every day if they're used properly. The problem is many times they're not. They're either undergreased or overgreased. I think it's a little bit of a misconception that once you put on a bearing protector and you pump grease in it, that it's maintenance free. At some point, you're gonna have to do some maintenance. You don't know if your seal has been compromised, if you've had water enter the hub, you've got some rust. So occasionally, I recommend you pack your bearings, on your boat trailer. If everything's in good working order, you may stretch that out a couple of years. For myself, I rather tear it down one time a year and at least just take a look at it, look at the seal. The purpose behind a bearing protector, this is a Kodiak brand. They also make bearing buddies as other brands, but the way they work, they have a little piston in here, and this one's, like I said, different than the bearing buddy. That little piston moves in and out. What this does, when you assemble the hub, and you'll see that here shortly, we're gonna pump it full of grease, and it's gonna push that piston out, and we're gonna use a bearing buddy when we reinstall. I've got it in the parts washer right now, so I'm showing the Kodiak. But it's gonna push that piston out, and what that achieves, it keeps a positive pressure inside the hub. So what that means is it's got positive pressure in the whole hub. So that does two things. It keeps grease in the bearing, but the real purpose of it is when you're driving down the road to go to the lake, especially if you have brakes on it like this as a disc, they're going to be hot. They may be, well over 100 degrees. I mean, today it's 103 degrees. So they may be 160, 170 degrees when you get where you're going. And when you back off into that 85 to 90 degree lake water like we have here, it's like getting into spit water. But when you back off into it, it's instantly gonna cool it off. And what that does is just like canning food. You have pressure inside there. If it gets with heat and you cool it off, it's gonna cause a vacuum. So it will suck water in on that back seal. So with this keeping pressure on it, it basically just keeps pressure against that back seal, so there's no water sucking in when you back it in. So when you pull your boat in and out when it's fully submerged, it doesn't contaminate the inside of your hub. So for marine applications, I'm a fan. What I see in the utility trailer world, people put these on and think they never have to do a bearing adjustment, never have to reset their load, never have to do any work on it. Matter of fact, I have a good friend that he bought a trailer that is now 8 years old, and he finally lost his first hub the other day, and he pulls on a regular basis. I couldn't believe him. He got his money's worth out of that, so he saved him several years worth of bearing packs. Unless that wheel would have went through the front grille of a new Tesla or BMW, then it probably would have been costly to him. So whether or not you're using bearing buddies on your boat, trailer, or your utility or your RV, you still need to check the maintenance on that. But for the marine application, I'm fine with them. I suggest them just to keep that water out, because once you get water in there, it's not gonna go anywhere. On this trailer, the main issue that it came in for was really a brake issue, so let's discuss that. Caliper was locked up on here. Many things can cause that. It can be corrosion in the line, it could be out of fluid, or it could just simply have rust. Some systems have a coating on the rotor and the caliper. Some are stainless steel on your higher end trailers, but some are just painted. This one did have a coating on the caliper itself, but it was rusted shut. If you do have a surge brake system like many of your boats do, you do need to flush that fluid. You need to clean the lines out, at least every couple of years or so. This one has no fluid in the system, so it's either evaporated out from overheating, like boiling the brake fluid, or it's had a leak at some point in there. So for this system, to get this system back up and working, it would require 2 new calipers, new pads, 2 rotors, probably most of the brake lines being replaced. Some of them you may can flush them out, and then the master cylinder in the surge coupler to be replaced. That's an expensive brake job. So if you'll just do some maintenance, if you just have your system flush, whether you do that yourself or you take it into a shop that maybe specializes in boat trailers, or you're comfortable and know that they have a reputation for working on boat trailers and surge brakes. We use surge brakes in the utility trailer world too. But get those systems flushed out and just checked out from time to time. It'll save you not hundreds, but thousands of dollars on a trailer like this. What this customer has decided to do, he is going to remove the brakes on this. If your trailer comes with the brakes, I'm always going to recommend going back with it. But in his case, for what this trailer weighs, it's not required to have brakes on it. He is pulling with a large tow vehicle that he feels comfortable that he can stop this trailer with. That's just a decision you're gonna have to make on that, but I would recommend you keep the brakes on it just so you don't over brake your truck, or if you get in a situation you need a little bit of help. But we are gonna bypass the brake system on this. We're going to make sure all brake fluid is evacuated so we don't have a leak. This one is evacuated itself. It is gone. So we're going to take those parts off. We'll give him the parts back just to hang on to them in case he wants to replace them for future reference. So if you do take yours off, don't toss them, hang on to them. And something else I'd recommend, if you're going to tackle a job like this yourself and you need parts, take your parts with you when you go to the shop, just because there's really no good way. There's no good book to look this stuff up in. It depends where it was built, when it was built, on what type of bearings it has, seals it has. If you've lost the hub and the bearings, don't take those into the parts house to get new ones, because they're not going to be able to read any numbers likely off the bearing. They may be able to pull a race number. That always doesn't mean what size bearing that it has. There's multiple races for multiple bearings and vice versa. I know this is going to sound silly, but if you've trashed out the bad hub, take a good hub off for reference for 2 reasons. So the parts guys can figure out what you need. The second thing is, if this one is bad, the other ones are probably going to be bad too. But please note, if you're doing 2 separate axles on a tandem, it could have 2 different seal setups, just like this one does. Even though the axles look identical, it's got 2 different inner seal setups on this trailer. That's just part of owning a boat. It's one of the many joys. If you're a boat owner out there, leave your comments on maybe some of the struggles you've had. It's fun once you get on the lake, but sometimes it's a struggle to get there and to get home. We're gonna go ahead and install new races. The way I normally do it, I usually use a race punch. This is made specifically for doing that. We also use a tool from time to time. We'll leave a link in the description below for this. This may be a little easier for you to use. These are not real expensive. They're made out of aluminum. You can use this to install races. You can use it to install seals as well. So if you have several trailers, or if you want to do your own bearing pack and maintenance, it may be wise to invest in one of these. So I'm going to show that with this today. So you'll just find the right size for the race. This is going to be the inner. Stick it in there, and we'll drive it home. Hear that sound? That's how you know you're all the way in. When the sound changes from that to that, dude is all the way in. You can also flip it over, look on the inside, look around the edges, make sure it's seated down. So we'll go ahead and put the outer race in the same way. Listen for the noise. Now that dude is in. Again, flip it over, make sure it's seated. We are good to go. So I'm gonna grab a pair of gloves so I don't get my pretty hands dirty. I like to keep them all nice and neat. And we're gonna repack these bearings. For a more in-depth video on bearing pack for specifically utility trailers, we'll leave a link in the description below to a video that we've done on that covers that in depth. For this, it's gonna be a little bit different. You have to put a little more grease in a bearing protector style setup than you would just your average bearing setup. So when we go to pack these bearings, make sure you're using a marine grease. Also, just double check in your owner's manual with your boat trailer to make sure what type of grease it's using. Some of these do use an oil, some of them use a hybrid oil that basically goes in semi-solid and then turns more to a liquid as it heats up, then it goes back. This is just a basic approved marine grease for this application. So let's get these bearings packed and installed. See if we can find it in there. When we put these drums together, they almost have to be completely full of grease to keep that positive pressure. We will top them off with the bearing protector. So I'm just gonna go ahead and add a little bit now to help it out. Smear that down in there. It's something we do as part of our protocol. Some axle manufacturers actually require it, but the rear seal has to be installed with Loctite on it to make sure that it's sealed. There are some seals out there that are rubber coated that will seal themselves. Most of ours are going to be a steel seal that we're going to put Loctite on. Like I said, you can use these to install the seal if you want, so I'll go ahead and do that just so you can see it. I normally do not. But if you do it, make sure you put it over to the edge because you don't want to overdrive the seal. You can use a block of wood if you'd like to. Just be careful you don't splinter any shavings down in there. So we're gonna go ahead and wipe some grease on this spindle just to pre-lubricate it. We're gonna slip this dude on there while we pack the outer bearing. I'm gonna go ahead and run some of this excess grease up in there. I don't know how many times I said up in there in this video, but probably more than my camera lady would like for me to say. Do y'all ever get hung up on words like that? I know I do. You got a huge mess, just like we like it. I'm just forcing some of this extra grease into all the nooks and crannies. We're gonna clean it up a little bit, and we'll install our washer, our nut and retainer. And always inspect your washer as well. If it's got a bunch of wear on it, or if it looks like it's been spinning, just replace it. They're cheap. These nuts here are a little harder to find, so hopefully yours will be good. And as I say in our bearing pack video, the link in the description below, this is where a lot of people make a mistake and do not set the bearing thrust. So when you get close, you need to spin the hub counterclockwise while tightening it down. This will set the load on the bearing. And you're gonna bottom it out. Gonna back it off full turn. Gonna bottom it out one more time. Then you're gonna back it off approximately quarter, 3/8 of a turn. This one does take a cotter key. We'll put this on and get the cotter key lined up. You may need to move it to get the cotter key lined up. So we'll put the cotter key in. There's only one way to install a cotter key. That is the right way. It's got two different size tabs if you'll see when we get a camera angle on there. One is longer than the other. So take that longer one, bend it back up against the spindle, and then you can trim it off. You don't need that full length on there. Just be sure not to hit yourself in the face. I see a lot of people bend both of those back. That will work, but the only thing holding this retainer is just one side. If you'll leave that tail just sticking out right there and just cut it just past the nut or retainer, just enough for the cap or bearing protector to go on. That gives you one extra tab, so you're holding the washer there and there. So that's just how I prefer to do it. So now let's take a look at this. And I believe this is a Bearing Buddy brand. All the markings are gone off of it, but it looks similar to it. If it's not, same concept. So if you look in there, it's got a piston as well in there. They say you can't over grease these. The way this works, when it gets full of grease, it will actually push some grease out of the front end of it, so that's how you know it's full. Some have a line on them. The Kodiak that I showed you, it has a fill line on it. We're gonna drive this in. Where this is different than a normal hub, you get this thing pretty much completely full of grease, and this spring will deal with the pressures of it getting hot and contracting. If you take a normal hub and you fill it completely full of grease and put a standard dust cap on it, it's either gonna blow the cap off or it's gonna blow the seal out of it just because it can't relieve the pressure in it. So be careful when you drive this on. These are not cheap. Use you a block of wood or a rubber mallet or something that's not gonna damage that. So on this one, as we look right here, you can tell it doesn't have enough grease because you cannot hardly move the plunger or the piston cap in it. So now we're gonna pump grease in it. Remember again, use marine grease or whatever is recommended. It will take a minute too. Now it's starting to come out. So right there, see that has an overflow. So it is completely full now. You can hear air bleeding out of it. So I will tell you, after your initial feel on there, once you take this to the lake for the first time or take it home from the shop, you need to recheck that. You need to check it from time to time because it may still have some air. But when you can move it around like that, that means it's full. If it's stiff, you can't move it, then it does not have enough grease in it. It's bottomed out. So clean that up. We also see a lot of these, they don't have a cover on. And while this cover does not keep water out necessarily, it does keep dirt and crap out of it. So if you're missing your covers, you can buy replacement covers for them. We're gonna try to reuse this one. We may have to replace it. It was a little hard to get off. It's gonna go on. Once you get done, just clean it up. Just keep dust from collecting all over. Just some brake cleaner. The only time you gotta be careful with the brake cleaner, some of this stuff, if you have plastic sight glasses on it, the brake cleaner will haze those caps out really bad. So do not use that. Use a water-based degreaser. simple green, something like that. You can clean it up. So this is ready to go. It's ready to have the wheel put back on it. Like I said, we have disabled the brake system on it, but we can get the wheels back on this. Customer can pick this thing up in the morning and he can take his family to the lake and enjoy a good summer. If you're taking your boat to the lake, have a great summer, enjoy it. Just make sure you've done your maintenance so you don't ruin the weekend.